Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Germ here. We're going to go a little deeper into the Irish blends category. It is one of the most popular Irish whiskey categories out there. A couple reasons: it's easy to make, it's very affordable, and there are a few distilleries that have been making it and making it well for quite a long time. Irish whiskey is in a real resurgence right now. Distilleries popping up all over Ireland on a pretty regular basis. With all of that new distillery popping up, there are some unfavorable practices going on. Sourcing is huge in Ireland right now, and it can be difficult to really know what you are getting in the bottle, who's made it, where it came from, and they don't have quite this as strict of a guidelines as we do as far as saying where it's come from. But with all that being said, and as important as transparency is to me, the more important thing is what is in the bottle, what's in my glass, and how does it taste. So let's check out these the Whistler's Irish whiskeys, and we're going to check out the blends today. And at the end of the blends, then we're going to look at the two single malts, just to kind of combine all of the Whistlers into one. Now there is a few Whistlers that I'm not going to have here. One of them is going to be the Irish Honey. That is technically not a whiskey. It is blended with honey, and the proof is lower than 40%. The ABV is lower than 40%, let's say. The proof is lower than 80. The other one is the Whistler Irish Cream. Same deal. It's an Irish cream liqueur, Bailey's, Sean's, that kind of stuff. That's, in that category. There is also an Oloroso finished one that I don't have. I couldn't find that one. But I do have 5 of them here. I have 3 blends, 2 single malts. Of the 3 blends, we have the Whistler Calvados finish. If you're looking at the label on this one, it does say a delicate and velvet medley of fine Irish whiskies, finished in a Calvados cask from Normandy, France. Okay, so they do work specifically with one chateau. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I don't speak French, but they do mention it is a very specific place where they get the Calvados barrels from, and it's collaboration with them. We are also going to look at the Whistler Double Oaked. This one on the label says the finest malt and grain whiskeys aged in bourbon barrels for sweetness, then taken and finished in the finest sherry cask for complexity. And then thirdly, the Whistler Stout finished. This one sounds actually kind of neat. What they did was the O'Hara's Imperial Stout. They took that and put that into a sherry cask for an unspecified amount of time. Then when they emptied that, they put in their signature blend. The signature blend, what they state here, is a blend of Irish wheat, malt, and grain whiskeys. Now, I would like to believe that each one of these is the exact same Irish blend on the base. So they start with the same blend of whiskey, and it just goes into different finishing casks. I would like to believe that. However, since they do not state the same thing, I can't be sure of that. I.e., this is where transparency would be really, really cool. The other thing that the bottle does say, and this is all 3 of them say this, it is bottled by the Bone Distillery. It does not say produced. It does not say distilled at. So, again, I don't know if they're buying this Irish whiskey blend or buying several different distilleries, individual components of Irish whiskey and blending in themselves. I don't know that. On their website, they state lots of things about how they like to craft grain to glass. They take care of every step of the process. They have really unique nano copper stills. There's a lot of that kind of stuff on there. Can we decipher that between real, actual statements or marketing mumbo jumbo or a mixture of both? We don't know. So, as much as I would love this to be very transparent and know exactly what's in this bottle, who's made it, where it came from, all of that, I don't know that. So all we can do is put it in the glass, try it out, see what it tastes like. So let's open these 3 up and see what we got. All right, we got 3 glasses of whiskey sitting here in front of us, just like that. Pretty great. We're going to start off with the Whistler Double Oaked. Reason being is I'm going to call this their most basic expression. It is bottled at 40%. It is ex-bourbon, ex-sherry. That's, to me, going to be their standard. And again, these are Irish blends. I am partial to the Jameson style. I do like the Jameson bottle. Yes, obviously it is not the best Irish whiskey out there. It is kind of what I started drinking whiskey with, was Jameson. So it always has this little soft spot for me. And I do tend to always try to have a bottle on hand because it's a good quality Irish whiskey if you're just looking for a nondescript, non-think about kind of drink, right? So let's see where these go. Okay. It is kind of a pleasant Irish nose. Not a lot to write home about, but nothing offensive. Absolutely nothing offensive. It's actually rather nice. It's delicate. I do get a little bit of that sherry influence. We got a little bit of the nice soft fruits, a little bit of raisiny. And I do definitely pick up on that ex-bourbon cask. Irish whiskey has a tendency to pick up cask flavors very nicely. I'm not sure if that is in part of their triple distillation and it's a more delicate whiskey, or the fact that it's kind of a cleaner spirit when it goes into the cask because of the triple distillation. But I have noticed that most Irish whiskeys that are finished, they're going to pick up flavors and put them, they're going to go into the whiskey and they're going to be really, really impactful from the barrel. Yeah, I mean it's got a nice nose. There isn't a lot there. It's not crazy jumping out of the glass. It is soft, it's delicate. It's got some bourbon notes. It's got some sherry notes. I'm not picking up any barley per se, either malted, unmalted, any of that kind of scent going on. It's just kind of nice. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and break it down forever. It's one of those types. So chalk one up for the Whistler here. It is a sit down, have a sip, and not really think about it kind of whiskey. On the nose anyways. So let's go in for a sip and see what it tastes like. Okay. Right off the bat, it was thin. It was almost water thin. It did get better as it sat for a second in there. It is rather buttery, creamy buttery. Does have a little bit of spice. I'm going to probably assume that's going to be from barrel impact. It is not single pot still spice. It is not baking spice. It's just like wood spice. The nose does come up a little bit more once I've had a sip, so you get some of that retro nasal action going on where you have it on your palate, and when you breathe in through your nose, you're kind of picking up a lot more of it now. The sherry influence is there on the taste in the form of like, oh, it is raisiny, but not more of a golden raisin than a dark purple raisin. Some vanilla, some that barrel spice is there. That is definitely wood spice going on there. It's good. I don't know if I would trade my Jameson for this. The nice part about this is it was $23. Jameson typically is around 28. So the $5 difference, I'm not sure I'm trading Jameson for this one. Yeah, it's okay. It's pleasant. There's nothing offensive, nothing great, nothing jaw dropping or awe inspiring. But it's a $23 whiskey. It's an Irish blend. It does have a little bit more than the Jameson does as far as flavor notes because of that sherry cask. But overall, I think I'm sticking with Jameson on this one. All right, so let's move into the Calvados cask finish. Okay, now I do like a Calvados cask finish. I have only had it with rye whiskey, and I think Calvados and rye whiskey play very nicely together. That apple brandy impact that the Calvados cask has in a rye whiskey with that spice is just mwah. So I don't know how an Irish whiskey is going to have behave with it, but we're going to find out, right? I can smell the Calvados here. I can smell apple for sure. Really nicely, actually. Good, strong apple scent. Not a lot else there. This one is bottled a little bit higher. This one is at 43%, which is kind of nice that they're coming up into proof, right? And I don't get any of the ethanol sharpness on the nose at all. Yeah, definitely some apple there, which it is kind of nice. It's very pleasant. I'm going to do a little rinse here first. Okay, also very, very thin, water thin. Apple is the front running flavor here. So my guess is the cask was very active and probably a little wet when they filled it. The nose has not given up anything else really. Maybe a little honey in there, but that's pretty underlying. The apple is strong, and it's a strong scent, and it takes everything over. It's pleasant. It is a pleasant nose with the apple, but you're not picking up lots of other things. So very similar on the palate. The back end has a little bit more on it. You definitely get some of those caramels, the honeys. There is a little bit of barley note on this one. It's kind of nice. Again, with the wood spice. And that is all over the back end here. So, okay. I mean, again, $23 whiskey. But at a $23 whiskey, I am actually pleasantly surprised with how nice it was. Moving on to the stout barrel. Now, this one I'm excited about. I actually only expected the whiskey to go into an X stout barrel. When I was reading this, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that the stout went into an X sherry barrel and then the whiskey went into that. So that's actually kind of cool. I think that might play really well, and we'll see. And we are going to, put this heads up against the Jameson Stout Barrel, because I think this is actually a really good version of Jameson. I think they did a fantastic job with this. Now, the difference here is this was a $23 whiskey. This now becomes about a $35 whiskey. So I am excited for this one. So let's give her a shot. I'm going to do another rinse here before I get into it. All right, let's see what we got here. Interesting. I may have to actually crack that open and pour a glass of that Jameson Stout to see what the differences are. If memory serves me correctly, this is quite a bit different than the Jameson Stout. I can smell beer, and I'm not specifically talking about stout beer. I'm just saying beer in general. It's kind of reminiscent of the old beer parties you have, you know, when you and 6 buddies get together and just drink a ton of beer, and the next morning the whole room just reeks of flat beer. And I'm getting that note on this whiskey. Bringing back some memories on that. At least it doesn't smell like beer in White Castle. That would be bad. There's a little bit of a chocolate note there, which is kind of expected with a stout beer. It's not a very strong chocolate note. Interesting nose. Well, let's see what it tastes like, huh? Okay. Now that is different. Lots of chocolate on the taste. I know the nose was light chocolate and it wasn't very predominant. The taste, however, there is some chocolate. And it's a nice creamy chocolate. I don't get any of the sherry per se. There might be a little bit of nuttiness in there. Maybe that's left over from the sherry barrel, but it's not, I would never in a million years guess this had sherry involved with it in any way, shape, or form. Boy, that nose is it's very just interesting. It's very different. It's wildly different than the first two. It is different than many other things that I've had, even other beer cask finished whiskeys. I get a little bit of hay on the taste. That's kind of lingering around now. And that's kind of neat. Maybe that's the wheat portion of the blend. We got to compare this to the Jameson Stout. I remember really liking the Jameson Stout. So it's a good comparison here too, because this is also a fresh crack. The Whistler was a fresh crack, so they're both brand new. Just opened them now. So okay, this has nothing like this nose. This is the Jameson Stout. This is the Whistler Stout. Okay, so now I'm starting to see some similarities in the note. Ooh. It's pungent. It is a pungent beer note. And not hops, not hoppy beer. But it's really hard to explain that scent. And you know, scent is such a personal thing almost. What I smell and what you smell can be wildly different, and it's the same, you know, it's the same scent, but the memories associated with it are just totally different. But the noses on both of these are crazy different. This Whistler one is much nicer of a nose than this one, than the Jameson. Okay, that's not even, you can't even compare these two. This has got a lot of chocolate flavor in it with the stout finish, but it's very thin, and chocolate is about the only note here. And there isn't a lot else going on. There isn't even any barrel spice going on with this one. This one has at least a little, I'm drinking whiskey feeling. You get a little bit of that spice on the end. You get that nice chocolate note on the front end. It is a pretty creamy mouthfeel, so that's kind of nice. That's actually really important to me on a whiskey, is the mouthfeel. Yeah, this one hands down blows the doors off of the Jameson Stout Edition. I can't even candy coat that. The Whistler Stout, far and wide better than the Jameson Stout, and the added bonus of it being $10 cheaper. Yes, please, I'll take that all day long. Man, just a funky nose. Okay, so those are the 3 Whistler blended whiskeys that I have. Like I said, there is a couple other ones. Only one of them really is a whiskey, and I could not find that one. My guess is it's probably going to be roughly around the same price, the $23, $25 mark, somewhere in there. And that one is a Oloroso sherry finished blended whiskey. So, take that for what you will. If you see it, it might be worth a pickup. I don't know. But so we're gonna move real quick through the Whistler single malts. These, I do believe, almost 100% are their own stuff. It is a single malt whiskey. It is this particular one. This is the Bodega cask. It is bottled at 46%. That's very nice. I'm happy to see that. It does have a 5-year age statement, so that is pretty young. Meaning I'm really leaning on the fact that I think this is going to be Bone Distillery's whiskey in here. I don't think there's any sourcing going on in this one. We got full sherry maturation on this one, and it is exclusively matured for 5 years in Oloroso sherry butts. I don't even have a glass to pour this out in. I'm not going to crack into the PX I Love You one. I will talk about it real quick, but the PX I Love You, kind of a unique name. I like it. Obviously, it's going to be PX sherry, right? This is Oloroso sherry. This is PX sherry. The cool thing to me here is going to be comparing the differences between straight Oloroso and straight PX. This one is a bourbon barrel first and then PX sherry cask, so it's a bourbon barrel maturation and then finished in PX. They do not give this one an age statement. It is also bottled at 46%. So, and I also do believe that this is going to be their own stuff as well. The Bodega's cask came highly recommended by somebody in the Discord group. Speaking of which, Rough Spirits Discord, if you're interested in chit-chatting with any of the people, it's a great group of guys. Lots of knowledge, lots of fun, lots of funny. But, so let's smell this Bodega cask. I get hay right off the bat. Now, this is brand new. I mean, it's really a new whiskey. Usually I like to let them sit open for a little while before I really try to break it down and see what it's like. Lots of fruit. Nothing specific at the moment, but very fruity. Fruity floral. A little bit of hay, fruity floral. This is like if you've ever gone to a strawberry patch and picked your own strawberries. There's like this smell in the air, not necessarily strawberry, but like berry farm smell, and it's quite nice. Oh yeah, a little perfumey. A little spicy on the nose, in fact. That's kind of unique. The winner of the nose award today goes to the stout cask finish, though. That thing was crazy unique. That has got a heavy berry palate. It's very sweet, berry, and then there's a little bit of spice with that sweetness. So it doesn't linger spice. It just is like pops of spice here and there. Mouthfeel is very thin. I don't know how I feel about that. I know how I feel about that. It's a $24 whiskey. Yeah, still that berry patch garden smell. Earth and leaves and green leaves and berries, and yeah, just kind of neat. It's funny how a smell can take you to a place in your mind, and you can visually see and be there and re-experience what you experienced at that time. It's just a really cool sense that you possess, that you can smell something and it takes you to a place that happened 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago even. Okay, so lots of hay, barley, yeah, malty as heck. Okay, that's kind of nice. I'm actually into that. I was just about to say that not my favorite thing that I've had. The stout was definitely the favorite one of the bunch today. And then about half a second into that last sip here, this Bodega cask became very barley, very malty, with the berry, with the garden. And I really like that. That's kind of nice. This one I'm thinking is going to be really nice when it opens up a little bit, have a few more out of it, get some air in that bottle. I'm thinking this could be a really, really nice whiskey. I can't wait to crack into that PX. Not going to do it today, because that is going to be something that I do sitting here with 2 glasses and in an hour of time, and just let them sit and be there, and then kind of compare the two to see, the differences between a straight up PX and a straight up Oloroso. I think that's going to be a really cool experiment. Speaking of experimentation, if what I believe is correct, that this is the same blended whiskey finished in different casks, that's an excellent experiment. If you're ever interested to see what one whiskey can do in several different casks, if that's the case, now I don't know that to be certain, because like I said, they state different things on every bottle. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of transparency if that's the case. If it's not the case and those are, it would be really cool to say, hey, this is the Whistler's Blend. We do this, and then we finished it in different casks. I mean, transparency to me is, hey, we made this. Whether we bought the stuff or we made the stuff, it doesn't matter. You did something to do something and then sell it. Be proud of that. Say what you did. Nobody's going to shoot you for it. It's going to be even more, like, they'll be more excited about it. I'd definitely be more excited about it if they said, hey, we bought this whiskey from such and such distillery because we think they make good stuff. We played with it doing this, and then we put it in a bottle and sold it to you. Great. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. So that's what we got for today. The Whistler. I'd say I'd pass on the first two, the Calvados and the Double Oaked, but that stout was awesome. It comes in a really cool bottle too. I like that black frosted bottle. I think that's neat. It actually made me want to go and find O'Hara's stout beer, see if I can find that somewhere. I'm hoping it's not an Ireland only thing, but I'm probably guessing it is. Thanks guys for watching. Cheers, and we'll see you on the next one.